Hello and welcome to the Digital Insight, the technology, procurement and supply chain podcast that delivers valuable C-level perspective into the core issues surrounding business transformation and digital disruption. Each episode will bring you the most inspiring executive insights from those who are leading transformation strategies within the world's biggest and best-known companies. The Digital Insight. Disrupt, transform, evolve.
Welcome to the Digital Insight, the official podcast series for CPO Strategy and Interface magazines. Today's episode is part 2 of my discussion with Dr. Marcell Vollmer, Chief Innovation Officer at Celonis. In this episode, Marcell and I discuss the most important asset to any organization undergoing digital transformation, and the one asset they mustn't forget. We've talked about obviously the technology, we've talked about that changing business model. How important, and I guess I know the answer here, how important is it for any organization to continue to invest in their people, to put the people, obviously the customers are first, but then to put the people right at the heart of a transformation journey so that whatever happens, whatever the new look business looks like, the people are there ready to continue to deliver?
I think people are the most valuable asset what you have as an organization, as a company. Because what are you without the people? Look at all the tech companies, what I have briefly mentioned. Doesn't matter if you have Apple, if you take Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, SAP, all of these big players. Without the people, basically, what is really left in these companies, in these organizations? So therefore, I have a very strong belief that people is the most important asset you need to focus on, you need to invest, you need to keep informed. So communicate to your people, communicate about the digital transformation you want to do, the vision, and also make them part of the process, what's happening right now. And I think this is absolutely key. And also don't forget really to take the investment serious. It's not only the communication, which is fairly cheap, but it is a time investment, what you have to do. It's also investing in the people in a way that what are the skills, what you need in the future? Do you have the right people helping you to define business models, to come up with business model innovations? Do you have the right people being capable to program machine learning algorithms? Do you have people also being capable to work like a data scientist, a data architect, with all the different input of data, what you get to get meaningful information out of it, which you can use to predict the future of your business and also to think about how to solve customer problems and come up with great solutions. So therefore, I never would underestimate the importance, and I'm absolutely convinced that you need to focus on your people and really invest in the people, and you need to think about also the organizational setup. What is it what you have as of today? That's very simple. Look at your org charts, look at your skills, what you have with your existing workforce. But then for the future of work, think also about how will your organization look like in the future? What are the skills needed? What do you have already? So basically that's simple to transition people from A to B, so from the as is organization to the to be world. But basically there might be gaps in skills what you don't have today. So therefore start early to think about the right development plans and also how to motivate the people. So the right leadership is needed to bring the people to the next level and also make them part of the journey. So that's what I believe and what I have seen, what successful companies are doing, how you can transform. I've seen it by myself by really aligning with the people in the procurement organization prior to the move in the cloud, prior to the move of the acquisition of Ariba, Fieldglass, Concur, the market leaders in the cloud, to run source to pay. Basically, the people needed the guidance also. What's happening? Why is it happening? And also, what's in for me? So if everything moves into the cloud, what does it mean? If all my contacts, all information I have in my desk or somewhere stored on my local hard drive, all this is now available for everyone in the cloud. What does it do also with the value what I have as being part of this organization today? So that's really something also where people might have fear that they're losing the job, or basically that the information they have are no longer valuable. You need um, to make them feel and also provide them with the clear guidance about how this will change and what is the role, what they can play in the future to be an important and successful part of an organization to drive the future success.
Inevitably, though, for every 10 people who will be on board, will completely agree and feel empowered and ready to embrace this change, you are going to have to unfortunately come up against people who perhaps are quite reluctant to that change. And again, this is something I've spoken a lot about recently. What do you do in those situations? How do you try and you're not obviously going to force people to change, but how would you try and overcome those frictions and those reluctances, just so that in a way that serves both the people and the organization as best as possible?
Absolutely. Not everyone likes change. I would even say the majority of the people are not really change affine. So it is not that they would say, wow, I like to change and really start over with different ideas and in a different role. Definitely not. So at least this is not my experience, and it's not the experience what I got from all the leaders I have talked to by driving digital transformation and really doing really large transformational projects like establishing shared services within SAP, doing a post-merger integration at DHL into Deutsche Post, or basically also transforming a procurement function, transforming supply chain operations, and much more different organizational changes. What I have seen, and a big majority also of integrations on the SAP side. SAP acquired for more than 40 billion companies, and I was the integration lead for some of them. So this is really something also where you need to think about, hey, what's happening with the people? What is it really from an organizational, from a company perspective? What do you need? And also, what is the willingness? What is also possible on the people's side to do as a change? And you will be surprised. Sometimes people really go and feel very comfortable and say, wow, I was kind of bored in my job. I didn't see really development opportunities anymore. And big thanks that you are coming up now and really making a big change, going from regional procurement functions, for example, into a global category management setup, overseeing global markets, working on a different level with suppliers, driving supplier innovations, or focusing in a new way on risk management based on a much broader set of data making available, or working optimizing your processes with process mining, a technology where you get full visibility in all the different aspects of the processes, where you really see in a kind of traffic light color approach, green, yellow, red, what are areas where you might have supply chain risk, what are areas where you are not fast enough paying suppliers, or where you might see that workflows are not running smoothly, or changes are coming in which you need to react on. And I think that you might be surprised what you see on the positive side, but I also agree on what you said about not everyone is willing to change, and not everyone feels comfortable even if you explain it, even if you provide a vision. I absolutely agree on that. And you need to find a way also what to do with the people. And probably also there's a time when you see, oh, the organizational function is entirely changing. So probably not everyone can be part of that journey in the future. So as people are really also a highly valuable resource in your organization, and they might have great experience. Why not thinking about another position without your organization, so outside the organization you are in? So this might be an option what you also have, and what might be an idea. And if it's really not possible to think about something, you need to see what are the agreements, what you can do, how can you do a change in a fair way with your organization, considering the employee representatives, unions, social partners, what you have, especially in Europe. that's a hot topic, but also in other areas in the world. What is the change? What you need to do? What you can do? And then to define your roadmap accordingly, also by focusing on the people.
And looking at the people again, obviously. So we've talked a lot about how the organizations can invest in the people, and the organizations can do and work with people to bring them along journeys. But as a professional yourself, as the individual, what work and what can you be doing to stay abreast with what's happening in the industries around you, but also to have the right skill sets and capabilities so that you are continuously challenging yourself as well as developing as part of the business?
I would say stay informed about what's happening right now. Be open and agile for change. Try to find the positive side of it and also what's in for you. Look for the opportunities more than looking for the downturn on what the effort of change might be. And then finally, also develop, invest in yourself to ensure that your employability is high. So that's definitely something what I would encourage everyone want to do. And also think about what are probably also areas what excites you. Life has a defined number of years we are here on earth, so therefore let's do the best out of it. And if a job is no longer really fulfilling, let's think about also what could be fulfilling, what needs to change. And when I look, for example, what we have done when I was the chief procurement officer, it was really exciting seeing that people started to see suppliers in a different way by no longer focusing on category management strategy and price negotiations, all what we know what a procurement function does. New topics came on the agenda, like how to get supplier innovations from these suppliers, how to team up, how to partner, how to build relationships, build networks also by coming up with new ideas and new products. So that's really something what you see, what is absolutely exciting. Seeing new technologies on the server side, so the computing power, what you have, combining that with the development need, what a large company like SAP, for example, has, or what a company like Celonis is doing by looking inside what you can do and how you can bring the different parties together to really develop something new. Some people are getting excited of it, but I also agree, not everyone might be as excited and not everyone wants to be part of that journey. But you as a leader, you are also asked really to provide the vision, and that's something also where I like the example. You can tell the people build a large ship because we want to go to the ocean, or you can also explain what it means to get a feeling about what beyond the horizon comes up, what new opportunities appear, and also to get a feeling about what the ocean is. And I think it's not tough to guess what is a much stronger motivation, what you can raise in the people besides just giving them clear direction and asking them for doing a change.
Looking at people then, you touched upon the workforces of the future and sort of preparing and developing and creating a business model and sort of processes that will prepare and ready people for the newer ways of working and the different outlet, the different approach to the businesses moving forward. One thing that I'd like to explore as well is the sort of change in workforce in terms of I spoke to a recruitment consultant recently, and he talked about how the sort of current generations and the next generations of workers are approaching it differently in the sense that they're not they don't go into roles and sort of sit still and say, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. They will go in for short-term sort of roles and then move on. How does that impact the way that businesses have to sort of be ready and prepare for this sort of workforce compared to the people that perhaps would start at a business and retire at that business?
I think it's absolutely important that you really understand also the different generations working for you. You might be in a situation that when you look at the full spectrum, that 4 generations are currently in your organization right now. So baby boomers are still around, so you have generation X, Y, generation Z, so that's really something. And even now, generation Alpha. So after that, there was a question about what's next. So it seems that the um, economists have decided that alpha is then the next letter, starting from the top again. So you might have these 4 or even 5 generations in your organization, and they have different needs. They have also different ways you can motivate them, and also different ways how they might respond on a vision, on the purpose, what you do. So therefore, I believe that the purpose of what your business is about, I mentioned the vision. Part of that is also having a clear purpose of what your business is doing and how do you help the world to run better and be a better place in the future. And I think that's very important that you do that, and also that you bring and align all these different needs of the different generations, and also make them part of the journey for a successful transformation. If you do that in a great way, I think the people will follow you, and you will have great products and a highly motivated team, which will excite your customers, will excite your suppliers, but also internally your employees are excited. I think that's the best case what you can have.
And I guess my final question is a question that I ask everybody, in the sense that if you could give one piece of advice, something that you yourself may have wished you could have heard back when you were starting out your career or in certain roles, but to somebody in whether it's an executive, whether it's just an organization as a whole, embarking on a transformation journey, what would be one piece of advice you'd give them? While it doesn't necessarily guarantee success, it will at least point them in the right direction and help them, because as we've discussed, and as you no doubt are aware, it's incredibly complex. There's so much things to consider. There's so many shifting plates all happening at once. Yeah. So what would the one piece of advice be?
For digital transformation, I definitely would suggest starting with your vision, the purpose, which is absolutely key, and also explains why you do a change, and then focus on your customers with the right processes in place, the right structure, supporting it, bringing your people in alignment to the customer needs. And then finally also have the right system supporting you, providing the right use cases, the business cases to be successful in the future. And let's not forget the people, the change management, and also communicate. And I think this would be definitely one advice what I'd like to give to the people, and how to navigate and how to drive a digital transformation successfully. At least that's the experience what I got. I hope this helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcell.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Insight Podcast in association with the Interface.net and CPOstrategy.com. The Digital Insight is brought to you by B2E Media Limited. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe, rate and review. And don't forget to check out our podcast archive at www.b2e-media.com/The Digital Insight.